started it. I'm guessing she just started it and they logged in, and then they're like, by the time I would log in exactly at 2,
we were done talking.
everyone was just sitting there. Like,
Okay, now do you just see the webinar slide?
yep.
Okay. Well, and you know what, too, you're a,
I'm a panelist.
yeah. I need to change my name somehow.
So how do I not show myself?
You show up regardless. Your name is going to show up.
Really? I don't remember seeing yours.
I know, and I don't know how it did it, because the first time I didn't. But then the second time I did. The first time I logged in, I didn't. I was part of the whatever, but I didn't show up.
Okay.
But then the second time I did.
It was like the first, I think right around St. Patrick's Day, March 17th, we decided to take it virtual. We were still able to push the Corvette raffle and keep that strength. We worked really hard with our sponsors to kind of transition them from a live event to a virtual event, so we didn't lose any sponsorships. We had only had about 150 auction items out of, we typically have about 400 secured by then, and we also had to cull out all the live sporting events that we had through the fall. We decided we wouldn't be able to put those out, so we took those out of the auction as well, and we set everything up to do it online. It ended up, we typically make, like you said, around $575,000 to $600,000 a year. We were able, taking it virtual, to still bring in $478,000, which we were really pleased with. And we did the auction, instead of a live piece, we used those items as featured items on our virtual auction, and just did a live broadcast the last hour. So our auction kicked off on a Wednesday, went through Saturday, and that Saturday night we broadcast live, and we were able to pull our Corvette raffle winner and some other raffle winners live on the broadcast, and we simultaneously broadcast it on Facebook Live as well.
Thank you. What software did you look at using, and what did you end up using, and why? Tina?
We use BidPal. It's part of One Cause. We've used it for about 8 years now, so we're familiar with the software. And it was very easy to transition that from a live event to a virtual event. The items were already input into the system. It was just in how we presented it and who we opened it up to, and adding photographs of all the items. That was probably the biggest challenge for me. But it was a really seamless transition. The nice thing about that too is when people register, they were able to register once we rolled out the friendly URL to them. So people started registering about 3 to 4 weeks before the event, right up and through the event. And then you can also send them push notifications via text. So we were able during the auction to text everyone registered 2 to 3 times a day to keep them up to date on what was happening, remind them of the fund to need portion. And that was really helpful.
I think it's important to mention too, and I want to make sure everybody caught that you had been using a bidding system at your in-person auction for a while.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit easier for you because you already knew that system.
Yes, and all of our constituents that come to the event every year, it's the same thing they've been using. So it's very user-friendly.
Sheila, this was something brand new for you. So do you want to talk a little bit about what system you used?
We actually don't have a system for bidding. We don't have the software for that. Hopeful that we'll eventually have that, but in this case we just utilized the auctioneer and their website, and they handled the bidding process, which was a 5-day process, but they handled it all and took care of the communication with the bidders.
What would you say was the most difficult part about moving your auction online, Sheila?
Well, we had never done anything online like that before. So it was just all of the trying to decide what technology, how we were going to get the information out to our donors, to the public, and try to get as a good of a response as we could to this new way of doing an event. The other, I think probably for me, I'm donor facing, I'm interacting with our donors in the community all the time. So at those events, you really have that opportunity for that face-to-face contact and answering any questions that they have about the organization, and gives you the opportunity to talk about your mission and really reinforce the mission and the need for funding, and that we are a nonprofit. And I think having to move to a virtual event so quickly, we kind of lost that opportunity. And it's something that we'll definitely have to consider as we move forward.
What did you think would be what was the most difficult part?
I think there were a couple challenges that we faced. I think the first one was, especially in mid-March, because our event was still 6 or 7 weeks out. A lot of people thought, what if we just wait? What if we hold off and just see what happens? Will we be reopened in 6 or 7 weeks? Should we pull the plug now and pivot to virtual or not? So it took probably a week or two of kind of convincing everybody this is the way we need to go, kind of dealing with that first. The second thing was then reaching out to all our sponsors, again, because you can't communicate with them face to face, and making sure they were still engaged, knew that we would still take care of them. We would recognize them in all the ways that we could. And we were very fortunate because we didn't lose any. And then the third piece for me was the technology piece, because we really, as much as we had used social media and e-bulletins and that kind of thing for communication, we also relied on, day-to-day activity with our students that were selling raffle tickets, and communication with our volunteers, people being in the school, in the building, working with us. And all of a sudden you couldn't be face-to-face with anyone. So we had to take all of that completely to a different platform. And that to me was a challenge, especially not being the most tech savvy person out there. So I think those three things were probably the biggest challenges for us.
I'm going to throw in a question that you guys don't know I'm going to ask. Is your general attendee younger, middle, older? And how did that affect how you were concerned about the technology?
I'll go with that. At this particular event, I would say our attendees are a bit more mature. So yeah, that was a challenge, definitely, to hope that through social media and through emails and everything, that they would feel comfortable going on to a website that, we're trying to promote. It's this auctioneer, and you need to go on the website, and it's kind of like eBay, and, and everything's on there, and it's really easy. So, yeah, we found that might be a challenge.
Okay.
Most of our attendees are parents of the school, or a lot of alumni parents. So I'd say a mature age like me. And the way I kind of looked at it was like, if I can figure it out, most people can figure it out. If my 80-year-old dad can figure it out, anyone can figure it out. My dad registered and was bidding. So I'm like, okay, we're okay. So because it's always a big issue, because you have, you want people to still be able to get on there and we had our fund to need completely, and we didn't have that person-to-person appeal. So yeah, that was an issue.
How did you promote your auction, Tina?
We utilized a ton of social media, and I have a great coworker who helped me develop a marketing plan. We pretty much sat down the first week and went through week by week how we would approach it. 1 week we focused on alumni messaging. 1 week we focused on current parent messaging. We utilized our students. We had a video contest where kids could get extra credit for one of their classes if they did a short video for us on what it means to be men and women for others. And then we utilize those videos, posting them on Facebook and Instagram. Facebook especially. Our parents, grandparents, they're on Facebook. That's their thing. And we promoted that a ton. So we posted between 3 and 4 times a week. We did videos, our co-chairs did videos. We also did a weekly e-bulletin to all our last 5 years attendees, current parents, and alumni, and shared how to register to, participate in the event, how to buy raffle tickets, shared the link with, a way to share it to their friends and their families so that we could really get the reach beyond just our core group.
How about you, Sheila?
We also utilized social media. We had a message that went out probably, maybe not every day, but at least every other day. We also did email blasts to all of our employees and to our board, just asking them to please share the message and the information about the link to go on and sign up with the auctioneer's website. We also utilized those who would have been participating in the event itself. And one big portion and one big revenue maker within our event is that we have celebrity servers. And we have about 15 celebrity servers, and they're very well known in the community in which we have this event. And so typically at the event, they're running around and drumming up tips and things like that. So we really encouraged them to, reach out to their family and friends and to people that they know in the community and let them know that the event was still happening, but it was just virtual, and that they could still, give them tips and donate and participate that way.
Can you talk a little bit more about the actual auction? Like, how long was it open for? Did your participants have to buy tickets? Was it open to the public? Did you let anybody bid? Some of those particulars. Sheila?
Well, because we were right up against having that event when we had to cancel it, really most of the attendees had those who were going to attend had already purchased tickets. So we had a 100%, keep that as a donation. So that was great. But we did not require tickets for the virtual event. It was just to go on and sign onto the website to be able to do the bidding. And it was a 5-day bidding event. So it was kind of like eBay, where if you place a bid, then you get a confirmation email. And then if somebody outbids you, you then, you get a notification about that. And then the day of, there was a reminder that went out to everybody who had signed up and to everybody who had been bidding to, please take a look again, take a last look, that the bidding was going to be closing in a number of hours. And that's how that was handled.
How about yours, Tina?
Refresh me on the question.
How long was it open for? Did the
Thank you.
participants have to buy a ticket? Was it all live? Was some of it silent?
Yes, sorry. I want to make sure I was answering the right part of the question. We kicked off on Wednesday at noon, and we sent a push message to everyone that had registered. Anyone could register, and we actually ended up with over 700 people registering, multi-state, which was great. So a lot of our alumni jumped on that typically can't come to the event. We kept it open through Saturday night at 10 p.m. And we did a live broadcast from 9 to 10 p.m. From the school. And there were 6 of us. We did our social distancing within the event. Both my co-chair spoke, I spoke, our president spoke. We shared some great videos that we had done for our Fund a Need. We had some pre-recorded Zoom parties for the event that we showed with some alumni and current parents. And then we did our drawings live. And then everything ended that Saturday night at 10 p.m.
All right, so we have a question from the chat box. What are the best types of auction items to pursue, given people can't necessarily go to things like concerts, events, museums, restaurants? Did you have any issue with what you had and how people were bidding on it? Tina, why don't you answer that one first?
We did, and it's funny because when I saw that question pop up, that's where I lost what I was going to answer. I started thinking about that. Yeah, we pulled all our sporting events through the fall. We included some fall football games that I'm not sure yet what we're doing with, because we're waiting to find out if there will be any fans at any football games or college games. I think right now, the best things to pursue are kind of gift baskets. I hate to say, but alcohol baskets, they always sell, stay home and have a party at home. We had a couple people do some great baskets with like candy, popcorn, wine, stay home and Netflix kind of baskets, stuff like that. And if you've got any donors that are willing to push their expiration date further, we do a trip. We have an alumni that has an amazing home in Mexico that he donates every year, and he pushed the expiration date for 2 years. So that helped tremendously. So, you hope and pray at least 2 years from now we'll be able to go somewhere again. So that we did a lot of that too. But it impacts it a lot, because already 2 of the restaurants that we had gift cards to are not reopening.
Sure. Sheila, how about you?
We had a couple of items that probably will need to be pushed out, such as the Hilton Head condo. I know that hasn't been used yet. Although things are opening up, and so that's probably going to. We also had tickets for a Broadway show we did push that out into the fall anyway, because we like to do that even if the event is earlier in the year, just to give people time to plan. So that still may happen for them. But yeah, I would just say, echoing what Tina said, just things that that can be used. So if you do know of restaurants that are, maybe just doing carry out or something like that, see if you can get some gift certificates. I'm sure that they're probably wanting to drive traffic to them, so they're probably going to be even more willing than before to provide a gift certificate. But yeah, just I don't know, hair care products or just things like that aren't going to be an issue with the times that we're in right now.
Yeah. Since both of your events were postponed, did you have a lot of your auction items already, or were you still kind of scrambling to try to fill some of those spots? Whoever would like to go first. Tina, you'd go first.
We only had about 1/3 of our items in, because we were almost 7 weeks out, and as early as you start, it's always people are last minute when they're collecting things. So we only had about 1/3, but we still had 150 items, which is a lot to take online. So in reality, it was probably better, because I don't think anybody wants to scroll through 300 things on their phone. So, and what we did with our live items is we had several that we went ahead and pulled, because either we weren't sure if they would be able to be used, or, we had like an Indian's Loge that wasn't going to get used, or we were afraid that if it was kind of a once in a life, we had somebody that offers something only once every 5 years. I thought, I'm going to hold on to this for next year. It's not going to get what it typically would online. So we pulled that stuff, and things that normally would have been live, we did as featured items. So the featured items had like their own section on the mobile bidding site, but you could bid on them through the whole auction, just like the regular silent auction items. And they closed at the same time.
Okay. Sheila, how about you? Did you have a lot of your items, or were you still collecting?
No, we had, there may have been a few odds and ends that were going to come in right at the end, but we had everything. We had all of the baskets, done. They were created. They were sitting, in our office, ready to go. So it was just a matter of taking a picture of everything and being able to transfer it onto the website.
Did you have any internal obstacles? How did you convince everybody that instead of just canceling, that you needed and could go virtual? Tina?
We didn't really have anybody that wanted to cancel, but we had a pretty strong group that wanted to postpone. And I basically spoke with my co-chairs, and we went through everything, and I reached out to some people I knew that were fairly well connected, that could give me a better idea of how long they thought it would last. And all the feedback that I was getting was things will not be normal until probably the fall. And so I went back and said, I really think we need to go virtual. I think postpone, we had people that suggested, maybe let's do it at a golf outing in June, or maybe let's try to do the event in July. And there were so many concerns with doing anything like that, that I really pushed hard that virtual was the only way to go. And I would say 2 weeks in, I think, the kind of light bulb went off and everyone agreed that was probably the best way to do it. And we had to make a decision. So we went forward with it, yeah.
Sheila, how about you?
Yeah, there was some back and forth as to what we were going to do, but, I think because we had everything and we were just really ready to go with it. And we really weighed the pros and the cons, and we looked at it and we thought, well, now we really don't have a lot of expenses. We don't have the sit down dinner that we were going to be doing, or the rental, which we ended up not getting, the rental of the venue that we ended up not getting charged for. So that kind of pushed us into, well, let's just go ahead and try this. And we had that the auctioneer who is a wonderful donor as well, and such a wonderful supporter of our organization, who just really said, I can help you with this. And so we said, okay, let's try it and see how it goes. We're very event driven on our for fundraising. So we thought, well, we better just jump into this because we got a lot of things coming down the road, and we might as well see how this goes. It might give us some insight as to what we're going to do later.
What were you most surprised about from either the process or, any part of the whole operation, but what surprised you most? Sheila?
I think that the number of people who actually signed on and who got excited about it, and the large number of people who have never come to our events before, but they like the idea of an online auction, and they seem to get into the whole spirit of it. We had a lot of employees who typically don't come to all of our events, but it was easy for them to hop on and take a look at the items that were up for bid. So that was different than a lot of our in-person events, and we still raised a really good amount of money. I mean, typically for this event, we raise about $45,000, and we still raised $23,000, and that's without having all of that in-person interaction like we did in an event. So yeah, we were pleasantly surprised. I think we were thinking, oh, if we clear 5,000, we're gonna be happy, but we did okay.
What about you, Tina?
Yeah, I would say almost the exact same thing. I was really surprised at how many people registered. We typically have between 500 and 600 people attend, but those are couples typically. We had over 700 people register for the auction, and most of those weren't individuals. So, my husband and I, of course, registered separately because I never actually get to bid on anything. But most couples, one or the other, registered. So we had a much larger population of people that were bidding. And I was also really surprised with how many people just made a donation to the Fund in Need. People that typically don't attend the event, or even if they do attend, don't really necessarily open up their wallet for that. It's very easy when you're clicking on your phone to toss $50, $100, and that adds up. And our Fund in Need ended up doing incredibly well. And it went straight to tuition assistance, which people could really buy into right now because of the situation. We knew our need was going to be greater, and people really understood that and stepped up for it.
Has this changed your thoughts maybe for how you'll do events in the future?
Yeah, we talked about this a lot. I think, I've always really hesitated to have people be able to bid from home and not attend the event. I've always worried, will people not come? Will the room be empty if you can just sit on your couch and bid? And now that we've seen what we can do, we're like, okay, I think we can do two pieces of this. I think we can still have that online option and still have people come, because honestly, in a year from now, I don't know that a lot of people will be 100% comfortable going So maybe there's a happy medium between the two. So we're definitely open to that.
Yeah, I agree. I think, you know, and we've been talking about it, you know, how the numbers really increased because anybody can go online and sign up for it and participate in it in some way. So I think that, you know, we're definitely going to continue building on that. What we didn't have in ours was any sort of kind of live presence from anybody from our organization. So I think what we'll look at some of our next ones is adding that live, like you did, Tina, where you had, you know, yourself, you had the president and some other key people from your organization be on there live and really be able to talk about your organization and the impact of the gifts and the donations that would be coming in. I'd like to definitely add that to it. But we in our communities, we have people who love to come out and go to things and you know, see and be seen. So we'll hopefully still be able to do something like that, whether it's drive through and get your dinner from a celebrity chef or something like that. I think that we'll hopefully be able to continue having the in-person events as well.
Yeah, I think that if anything, this time is going to be, you know, try anything once. I mean, I've heard of drive-throughs. I attended an event where they delivered the meal right to my door. I mean, I think right now it's try it and see what happens. So we have a question from the chat box. Can you share how your Fund a Need was done virtually? I think, Tina, that's to you. Sheila, I don't think you did a Fund a Need.
Sure, we did videos ahead of time. So Walsh Jesuit High School, our motto is men and women for and with others. So we had students do short videos between 45 and 60 seconds talking about what that means to them. Then we also asked some of our students that receive financial aid to do a short video sharing what being able to get a Walsh Jesuit education means to them. We shared those videos on social media prior to the event on Facebook and Instagram. And we really discussed what that Fund a Need would go, what that money would go to. So this year directly toward tuition assistance. To give you an example, like last year we built a new science lab. So last year's Fund a Need was the Science Collaborative. This year, straight up tuition. Then the actual auction, one of the auction items was making a donation directly to the Fund a Need. And when we did the live broadcast last hour, we also discussed a match. We had a couple parents step up and make some significant donations. So we asked people to match those donations. Then the night of, during that live broadcast, we shared the Fund a Need video, which we spliced some together to create a really nice piece that was about 4 minutes long. We shared that, and then one of our co-chairs spoke to the direct need right now, not just under normal circumstances, but with the COVID crisis. We've started hearing from parents right away that we're concerned about the following school year. So that's how we did that. And then you could just like you would bid on an auction item, you could click and make a donation. We also set up a Venmo, and people could Venmo us. And we had a lot of really young alumni that Venmoed, even if it's $5 or $10, they now become a donor of yours. And that can only be a good thing. So that helped too.
Okay. We have one more question in the chat box, and then we'll get to find a kind of final thought. So if anybody has any questions, please put those in the chat box and we will get to them. If your organization does not typically include auctions in their fundraising event, is this a time to try something new to replace an event that will not transition well to virtual?
Oh, I'll take that one.
Yeah.
I'll take that one. Because we are very event driven. And so we think in terms of, auctions, and, we're always thinking, oh, that would be a good auction item, or that would be a good auction item. I still think people think that's fun. And as long as they can do it online, and, we talk about those who are very tech savvy and, they do everything from their phones, and, if they can just do that in a couple of clicks and get something fun and something different, and maybe just have it delivered to their door, then I think that's a good thing. We have no intention of stopping doing the auctions. We have a lot of donors and a lot of people in the community who like to support us, and and are offering things, for us to utilize for our auctions. So we will continue. We've been very successful with that.
We utilized raffles as well. Besides the Corvette raffle that we typically do, we did our online raffle. We typically raffle off a Louis Vuitton handbag and a men's watch at the event. And we cap out the sales at 200 tickets for the raffle. And we charge $25 a ticket. So you buy a $1,500 Louis Vuitton handbag, you're gonna net $3,500 off it if you sell all 200 tickets. We put that bag on the mobile bidding on Wednesday, and by Wednesday night, the tickets were sold out. So Saturday, we were doing our run through for the live broadcast, and we're like, let's buy another one. So we bought another one and threw it on there, and within an hour, the 200 tickets had sold out, because anybody will spend $25 for a 1 in 200 chance for a $1,500 item. So just from those, and saying, it's amazing how much money that can generate for you, because $25 isn't a huge ask. So, and if you can get somebody to donate the bag or the item, that's even better.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of raffles at events, only because, how many times have you gone to an auction and you bid and you bid and you bid and you don't get anything? And then you feel like, gosh, I had $50 to spend. I had $100 to spend, and now I don't have any place to put it. So I love that idea of doing smaller, lower cost things so that people can still participate in different ways, not only get the huge items if they've lost out. So at this point, we don't have any other questions in the chat box. So we will go ahead and give any final thoughts if you guys feel like there was something you didn't get to talk about, or any words of wisdom that you'd like to give those listening. Tina, if you want to go first.
I think the big thing is just, reach out to your volunteers that you typically use and get their feedback, see what they're still willing to do for you. And don't be afraid to try. I mean, I was nervous, and I'm never nervous for our event. And I was nervous. At first I thought, well, normally we bring in 575,000. Last year, I think the year before, we did 607. And I thought, well, if we can bring 250, I'll be happy. Then we started plugging along, like maybe 300, I'll be happy. And we ended up at 478. Our net is only down about 20,000 from what we normally net. So I think just, have faith in your ability to do it, and don't be afraid to reach out and ask people for help. That was the big thing too, is I didn't know the tech piece. I relied heavily on, people at the school that knew the tech piece, and just gave it to them and let them run with it. And it ended up working out really well.
Yeah, I say just, try it. There is a great benefit to reaching out to your volunteers. I know for us, we couldn't have any volunteers coming to our office or being in any of our satellite offices, and or working in our resale stores or anything. I mean, we just had to kind of say, volunteers, stay home. And to be able to reach out to our volunteer fundraising committees and, ask for their help virtually, they were ready to do something. They were ready to roll. So that was extremely beneficial to continue to have their support and for them to do a lot of the legwork. You don't want your organization to go silent. And that's what our fear was, that if we don't have these events and these opportunities to connect with the community in that way, and with our donors, we didn't want them to think that we weren't doing anything. So it's just a way to continue reaching out and connecting with your donors.
Well, thank you so much, both of you, for joining us today. I am going to give a couple of plugs for a few items that we have going on here at .org. As I had mentioned, this is the third portion of our coffee shops. The next webinar is next Wednesday, and it's going to be all about communicating with your donors before, during, and after your event. And that'll be done by the .org team. So myself, Amy Wong, and Kaylee Stoffinger will be hosting that one next Tuesday. So please, I appreciate all of you signing up and attending. We also will be sending a survey out to everyone to find out, how we can make these better. .org is really all about helping nonprofits just be better in our communities, raise more funds, market yourselves the best way you can. So we really want to do anything we can to assist. So please fill out that survey, and really just, we're really looking forward to your feedback on that. So I have the slide up. I'm sure Sheila and Tina, if you have any specific questions, would answer them through email. So their email addresses are on there. Please feel free to reach out to any one of us if you have additional questions, and we will be happy to answer those. So once again, thank you, Tina. Thank you, Sheila, for taking time today. I really, really appreciate it. I think that this was some really great information about something that everybody is thinking about right now as to what they're going to do. So thank you very much for being here.
My pleasure.
Yep, you're welcome.
Okay. All right. Everyone have a wonderful day. It looks like it's going to storm, so stay dry, and we will see you next week. Thanks so much.